It was a bright Monday morning. People rushed into the tall glass building, wearing expensive suits and carrying fancy coffee cups. The office smelled like perfume, success, and pride. Emily Thompson walked in, heels clicking on the clean marble floor. She wore a white blazer, red lipstick, and a face full of confidence. Everyone in the office knew her. She was rich, powerful, and always right, at least. That's what she thought. As Emily walked toward the elevator, she suddenly stopped. Her eyes narrowed. There was a janitor mopping the floor near the main entrance. He was an older man, wearing a blue uniform. His head was slightly bent, his hands rough and steady. His name tag said Armin, but no one ever called him by name. To them, he was just the janitor. Emily made a face. She turned to her friend Rachel and whispered, "Ugh, why is he always here in the morning? He smells like chemicals. It's disgusting." Rachel gave a nervous smile. "He's just doing his job?" Emily didn't listen. She walked straight up to Armand, double quotes. "Hey, can you move? You're blocking the entrance," she snapped. Armand slowly looked up. His eyes were calm, almost peaceful. "I'm almost done, ma'am," he said softly. Emily rolled her eyes. "Almost done? You've been mopping the same spot for 10 minutes. Maybe if you moved faster, you wouldn't be in everyone's way." People started to gather. Some stopped walking. Others peeked from behind their desks. Armand didn't argue. He simply stepped back, letting her pass. But Emily wasn't finished. She raised her coffee cup. "Well, since you're already cleaning," she said, and suddenly dropped the cup. It fell to the ground, spilling coffee all over the freshly mopped floor. Gasps filled the room. Some workers looked shocked. Others turned away, pretending not to see. Armand looked down at the mess, then back at Emily. His hands tightened around the mop handle, but his face stayed still. Emily smirked. "Oops, I guess now you have something real to clean." She turned around and walked off, laughing with Rachel. But Armand, he just stood there. For a moment, he didn't move. Then, slowly, he bent down, picked up the cup, and began to clean again. No anger, no words, just silence. After the scene, whispers filled the office. "Did you see what she did? Poor guy. He didn't even say anything. He's always so quiet. Doesn't he get tired of this?" But Armin, he kept working. Later that day, Lisa, the receptionist, brought him a bottle of water. "You okay?" she asked gently. Armand smiled. "Yes, thank you." Lisa sat down beside him during break. "Why don't you ever speak up? That woman was awful to you." Armand looked at her with kind eyes. "Some people speak from their mouths. Others speak with time." Lisa didn't understand what he meant, but she could tell there was something different about him. He didn't walk like a janitor. He didn't talk like one either. There was something deeper, hidden. As Armand left to clean the top floors, Lisa noticed a small piece of paper fall from his back pocket. She picked it up. It looked old, worn out. The words weren't in English. She couldn't read it. But there was a stamp at the bottom, official looking, with a symbol she had never seen before. Before she could look closer, Armand returned. "Oh, you dropped this," she said, handing it to him. Armand paused. For the first time, Lisa saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. He quickly folded the paper and placed it back into his pocket. "Thank you," he said, then walked away. Upstairs, Emily was enjoying her coffee in the meeting room. "I can't believe that janitor just stood there. Honestly, people like that shouldn't be allowed near the entrance," she said loudly. Her coworkers stayed silent. She noticed that "I'm the only one who says the truth?" she asked. Rachel looked uncomfortable. Maybe you went too far." Emily rolled her eyes. "Oh please, he's just a janitor. It's not like he's someone important." But deep inside the building, Armand stood near a window, looking at the city below. His hands were now still. His eyes watched the traffic, the sky, the people, and in his pocket, the old paper remained close to his heart. It was not just a paper, it was a certificate with gold writing, with his full name, Justice Armand Ali Khan, former High Court Judge Pakistano. One in the office knew no one, except Armand. And soon, that secret would change everything. The next morning, things continued like normal. Emily walked in, once again dressed in white, but this time, the janitor wasn't near the entrance. She smiled, pleased. In the basement, Armin was cleaning the storage room, alone, quiet. He opened his notebook and began to write in Urdu. Lisa, curious about the paper from before, searched online for the symbol she saw. After a few tries, she found it. It belonged to the Supreme Judicial Council of Pakistan. Her eyes widened. "What? Who is this man?" she whispered to herself. She didn't know yet, but she had just started uncovering a truth that would shake the entire office. Because Armin Ali Khan was not just a janitor, he was a man who once held power, respect, and fear. And now, he was here, quietly cleaning floors, hiding from a past too dangerous to reveal. But fate had plans. Emily's cruel words had started something, and very soon she would face the truth. A truth so strong, it would make her knees shake and her face go pale, because the man she mocked, he wasn't below her, he was far, far above. The next day, the office felt different. People were working, typing on their computers, making calls, but something had changed. There were whispers, quiet voices behind coffee cups, eyes looking over shoulders. The name was soft, almost a secret. Armand, Justice Armand. Is that true? It all started with Lisa. She couldn't stop thinking about the paper that had fallen from Armand's pocket, that symbol, that name, that feeling. She had searched it online, and the results shocked her. Justice Armand Ali Khan, former High Court judge of Pakistan, known for refusing bribes, known for standing against corrupt politicians, and known for suddenly disappearing from his country. Why? Would a man like that be working here as a janitor? Lisa whispered to herself. She wanted to ask him, but something held her back. Maybe fear, maybe respect. Instead, she told one person, Michael, the IT guy. Promise me you won't tell anyone, she said. Michael promised. But by lunch, everyone knew. Meanwhile, Armand kept doing his work. Like always, he cleaned the glass doors, emptied trash bins, and mopped the floors. He greeted people with a quiet good morning and a small nod. But now, people looked at him differently. Some were confused, some were curious, some were scared. It really him? One worker asked. Why would he leave everything behind? Said another. Maybe he's hiding from something. Emily walked in late that day. She had no idea what was going on. When she stepped into the office, everyone went quiet. She smiled, thinking they were admiring her outfit. Relax, everyone. It's just me, she said proudly. But Rachel pulled her aside. Emily, you might want to sit down, she said. Why? What happened? Emily asked. It's about the janitor. Emily rolled her eyes. Not this again. What now? Did he cry because I told him the truth? Rachel leaned closer. People are saying he's a former judge from Pakistan, a very powerful one. Emily blinked, then laughed. Oh please, a janitor? A judge? What is this? A movie? Rachel shrugged. Look it up. Emily pulled out her phone and typed in the name. Justice Armand Ali Khan. A photo popped up. It was him. Younger, with black hair and a black robe. Standing with a group of lawyers, his eyes the same, calm, sharp, wise. Her smile slowly faded. No, this can't be. Back in the janitor's room, Armand sat on a small wooden chair. The room was quiet, filled with old cleaning supplies and a tiny fan that barely worked. He opened his notebook and wrote in Urdu. The world sees only what it wants to see. The truth waits. In silence, Lisa knocked gently on the door. Can I come in? She asked. Armand looked up. He smiled and nodded. She stepped in, holding a cup of tea. I made this for you, she said. Thank you, he replied, accepting it with both hands. After a few seconds of silence, Lisa sat on a box. Beside him, people are talking, she said softly. I know, Armand said. Are you really a judge? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at the steam rising from the cup. I was, he said, a long time ago. Lisa listened quietly. I fought against powerful men, Armand continued. I refused to take their money. I sent criminals to jail. I thought justice would protect me. He paused. But justice has enemies. And when those enemies became too many, I had to leave. Lisa's eyes were wide. I lost everything, he said. My title, my home, my country. He looked up, his voice calm. But I didn't lose myself. Emily was now pacing in her office. He's lying, she told herself. This has to be a mistake. She stormed out and walked straight to the janitor's room. She didn't knock. She opened the door and found Armand sitting calmly, writing in his notebook. Lisa stood up, startled. Emily glared at Armand. So, is it true? She asked coldly. Are you really some kind of judge? Armand looked at her. His eyes were still soft, still patient. I was, he said. Emily laughed. Wow, what a fall. Huh, from courtroom to cleaning floors? Must be hard. Lisa stepped forward. Emily, maybe you should know, Emily snapped. I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. She turned back to Armand. Let me give you advice. Judge, this is the real world. Titles don't matter here. You're just a janitor now. Armand stood up slowly, not angry, just steady. He looked at Emily. You are right, he said. Titles don't matter. Emily raised her eyebrow. But character does, he added. His words hit the air like a quiet storm. Emily paused. Something in his tone made her uncomfortable. Without another word, she walked out. The next morning was cloudy. The sky hung low over the city, and the tall office building stood quiet, like it was holding its breath. Inside, the atmosphere had changed. It was no longer just about emails, meetings, or deadlines. It was about him. The janitor. Or, as many now believed, Justice Armand Ali Khan. People watched him from behind their desks. They whispered in corners, peeked through glass doors, and waited for something more. But Armand stayed the same. He still cleaned the floors, still greeted everyone with a soft good morning, and still walked like a man with no anger in his heart. Yet deep inside him, a storm was growing. Emily sat in her office, staring at her laptop, her fingers rested on the keyboard, but she wasn't typing. She was watching a video, a courtroom clip from Pakistan. There he was, Armand Ali Khan, standing in black robes, speaking to a courtroom full of powerful men. His voice was calm but strong. No man is above the law, he said. The camera zoomed in. His eyes looked the same, clear, steady, and fearless. Emily leaned back, her face pale. He was real, she whispered. All this time? Just then, her boss, Mr. Grant, entered the room. Emily, I need to speak with you, he said firmly. She stood quickly. Yes, sir. He closed the door. I have been hearing things about the janitor. Is it true you humiliated him in the lobby? He asked. Emily swallowed. I didn't know who he was. Mr. Grant looked disappointed. That doesn't matter. We don't treat people like that in this company. I've received 3 emails about your behavior. Emily's hands trembled. Sir, he never said anything. He didn't have to, Mr. Grant replied. The whole office saw it, and now that people know who he is, this could become a PR nightmare. Emily felt her legs go weak. I need you to write an apology, Mr. Grant continued, publicly today. Emily nodded slowly. Yes, sir. But deep down, she wasn't sorry. She was afraid of what would happen next. Meanwhile, Lisa walked up to Armand near the break room. Mr. Armand, she said gently. He looked up and it smiled. Yes. She held out a file. I thought, you should see this. Inside was a printed email. It was sent to HR from an anonymous staff member. It said, our janitor is not who he seems to be. He is a respected judge from another country, living here in silence. We should honor his past, not ignore it. Armand read the letter quietly, then folded it and placed it in his pocket. Thank you, he said. Lisa hesitated. Do you ever miss your old life? Armand looked at her with a sad smile. Every day, he said, but sometimes, silence is safer than truth. Lisa felt a chill in her chest. But why hide? She asked. Armand paused. Because the truth didn't just destroy my career, he said softly. It destroyed my family. Lisa didn't know what to say. She had never seen pain like that in someone's eyes. That evening, Emily stood in front of the office staff. Her face was tight, her hand shaking slightly as she read from a paper. I want to apologize to Mr. Armand for my words and actions. Earlier this week, I acted without kindness, and for that, I am truly sorry. No one clapped. They just stared. Armand, standing in the back of the room, gave a small nod. Thank you, he said, then turned and walked away. Emily stood frozen. She had said sorry, but it didn't feel like enough, because deep down she knew. She hadn't just insulted a man, she had insulted a hero. Later that night, Armand sat on the roof of his apartment building. He looked at the stars, something he used to do with his son back in Pakistan. He held the photo again. His wife, his boy, their smiles. He remembered the night he left, the threats, the fear, the goodbye. He never wanted to say, Abu, when will you come back? His son had asked. Soon Armand had lied, kissing his forehead. He hadn't seen them in 6 years. He didn't even know if they were alive. A tear rolled down his cheek. But then, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. He answered slowly. Hello there, was silence. Then a voice, small, shaky. Abu. Armand froze. His heart stopped. Ayan, he whispered. Abu, it's me. It's really me. Emmy found a way to contact you. We're safe now. We're in Dubai. I found your old number. Tears flowed freely from Armand's eyes now. My son, he whispered, you're alive. I missed you, Abu, the boy said, crying. I missed you too, Armand whispered, more than anything. Lisa, watching from a distance, on the rooftop, saw him crying into the night sky. She didn't know who he was speaking to, but she knew one thing. This man didn't belong on the floor. He belonged in history. The next day, a new rumor spread in the office that Armand had received a call, that his family was found, that maybe, just maybe, he would be leaving soon. Some were happy for him, some were sad, but one thing was clear. No one saw him as just a janitor anymore. He was a man who walked with dignity, carried pain with silence, and stood taller than anyone in the building without ever raising his voice. And for Emily, she sat at her desk, staring at her computer, haunted by one truth. The man she had stepped on had once stood higher than kings, and even now, in silence, he still did. 2 days had passed since the phone call. Armand was still in shock. He had not spoken to his son. In 6 long years, every night, he had prayed to hear his voice again. And now, Ayan was alive. His wife was safe. They were living in Dubai, waiting for him. Hope had returned, but with it came a storm of emotions. Pain, guilt, fear, and something even heavier. Decision. Should he leave this quiet life and return to the world that once tried to destroy him? Or should he stay hidden, where silence kept him safe? At the office, people treated Armand with new respect. Some greeted him with small bows, others helped him carry supplies. Lisa always brought him tea in the morning, but Armand noticed something strange. Emily was silent. She didn't mock him anymore. She didn't even look him in the eyes. She walked past him like he wasn't there, but Armand knew it wasn't because of pride, it was because of shame. That afternoon, Lisa found Armand sitting in the break room, staring at a letter. Is everything okay? She asked. Armand looked up, then handed her the envelope. It arrived this morning, he said. No name, no return address. Lisa opened the letter carefully. It was handwritten, in English. Justice Armand Ali Khan, you may have escaped your country, but your past is not finished with you. There are those who still watch, those who still fear you will speak. Stay silent, or your son will disappear next. Lisa gasped. This is a threat. Armand nodded slowly. I thought I had left it all behind, he whispered, but they found me again. Emily saw them from her office. Lisa's worried face, Armand's quiet sadness. Something inside Emily twisted. She remembered the look in his eyes the day he had said, "But character does." She remembered how calm he had stayed, even when she had insulted him in front of everyone, and now he was being threatened again, silently, cruelly. She couldn't sit quietly anymore. She stood up and walked toward them. Is everything all right? She asked. Lisa hesitated, but Armand nodded. Yes, he said gently. Thank you for asking. Emily looked at him. This time really looked at him. I know I've been awful to you, she said. I thought you were nobody. I was wrong. Armand didn't respond with anger, only with kindness. We all make mistakes, he said. It is what we do after that matters. Emily felt something heavy leave her chest. Then let me help, she said. Let me do something right. That evening, Emily made some calls. She contacted a lawyer, she knew a woman named Sarah who worked with human rights cases. He's in danger, Emily said. And not just him, his family too. Sarah listened carefully. If what you're saying is true, she said, then this isn't just a simple case. He may need protection, and maybe a voice. A voice? Emily asked. Yes, Sarah said. If his story goes public, the world will see him. They won't be able to hide him anymore. Emily paused. But what if speaking out puts him in more danger? That's his decision to make, Sarah replied. The next day, Emily told Armand about Sarah, about the legal help, about the offer to speak publicly. But Armand said nothing. He walked to the window, looking out at the city below. You know, he said, when I was a judge, I thought truth was enough. I thought truth would win. He turned back to her. But truth is only safe when people listen? Emily nodded. Then maybe it's time people listened. That night, Armand sat in his apartment, holding a blank piece of paper. It was time to decide. Stay quiet, or speak, hide, or fight. He thought about his son's voice on the phone. The way he had said, I missed you, Abu. He thought about the letter, the threat, and then he began to write. My name is Justice Arman Ali Khan. I served in the High Court of Pakistan. I believed in truth. I believed in justice. But I learned that when powerful men are afraid, they will do anything to silence you. He wrote for hours. His full story. From the beginning to now. 1 week later, the article was published online. The Judge Who Became a Janitor by Sarah Ahmed. Human Rights Watch. The story went viral. People across the world shared it. News channels picked it up. His photo, older now, but still wise, was shown on screens from Dubai to London to New York. People cried. People clapped. People asked questions. Why did no one help him? Why was he forgotten? Where is justice for the judge? The office was buzzing with the news. Emily walked past coworkers, who now looked at her differently, not because of what she had done, but because of what she had changed. Lisa hugged Armand when she saw the article. You're not in the shadows anymore, she said. Armand smiled. But light is dangerous too, he replied. That evening, Armand got a call from Ayan again. Abu, I saw your face on the news, he shouted. The days that followed were full of light. Armand Ali Khan, once a forgotten janitor, was now being called a hero. News reporters stood outside the office building. People brought flowers and cards. Journalists sent emails begging for interviews. But Armand stayed quiet. He continued his janitor duties, cleaning the floors, emptying bins, and smiling gently at those who once ignored him. To the world, he was a symbol of strength. But inside, he felt something dark, a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. Fear. Emily was happy to see the change. She had become one of Armand's closest supporters. She had made a mistake, yes, but now she stood by his side. Every morning, she checked on him. Every night, she made sure he reached home safely. But something wasn't right. That day, she saw a black car parked near the office gate. Its windows were tinted. The engine was off. But inside, someone sat still, watching. Emily stared. The man didn't move. She felt a chill run down her arms. She ran upstairs and found Armand in the storage room. Did you see that car outside? She asked. Armand looked at her, his face calm. I saw it yesterday too, he said softly. Emily's heart raced. You think it's them? Armand didn't answer. He didn't have to. Later that night, Lisa and Emily joined Armand at his apartment. They didn't want him to be alone. Lisa placed dinner on the table. You need to eat something. Armand smiled weakly. Thank you, Beta. But just as he picked up the spoon, someone knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks. They froze. Armand stood up, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. No one was there, just an envelope on the floor. He picked it up and opened it. Inside was a single photo. It showed Ayan, his son, taken outside his school in Dubai. On the back was a message. You speak again. We take him. Armand dropped the envelope. Lisa gasped. Emily covered her mouth. They're watching him, Armand whispered. They're serious, Lisa said. You need protection. The police? No, Armand said firmly. If we go to the police, They'll disappear before they're caught, and they'll take my son with them. He sat down, his hands shaking. Emily looked at him. Then what can we do? He closed his eyes and whispered, we fight smarter. The next morning, Armand didn't go to work. Instead, he met with Sarah, the human rights lawyer who wrote his story. He showed her the photo, the letter. Sarah's face grew serious. This is international, she said. We'll inform the UAE authorities. They can protect your family, but we need evidence here too, something that proves someone is following you. I'll get it, Armand said. Just tell me what to do. Back at the office, Emily and Lisa helped set up a plan. Emily placed a small camera near the building entrance. Lisa added one near the elevator. For days they watched. Nothing happened. The black car disappeared. The office went quiet again. People thought maybe the danger had passed. But Armand knew better. Evil doesn't disappear. It waits. Then one night, everything changed. Emily was working late when she heard a strange sound near the stairwell. Click. It was faint, like a lock turning. She stood up, walked out of her office, and saw a shadow disappear down the hall. Heart pounded. She grabbed her phone and followed. Down the stairs, around the corner, and then she saw him, a man in black, holding a small camera in his hand, standing outside Armand's locker. Hey, she shouted. The man ran. Emily chased him down the corridor, yelling for help. Security guards appeared, catching the man before he could escape. They found tools in his bag, a phone full of photos of Armand, of his apartment, of his friends. They called the police. The man refused to speak, but Armand recognized him. He had seen him once. Years ago in a courtroom in Pakistan, a man connected to a powerful political family. Now he was here, caught in the act. But who sent him? And who else was still hiding? That night, Armand received another call from a YAAN. ABBU. Are we in danger? The boy asked. No, Armand said, trying to stay calm. You're safe. And I promise, I will come to you soon. But, are you safe? Ion asked softly. Armand didn't answer, because he didn't know the truth, but because he didn't want to say it out loud. Sarah contacted Dubai police. Security was sent to protect Armand's wife and son. Interpol was notified about the man who had followed Armand. The news spread again. Now people weren't just calling Armand a hero, they were calling him a target, a survivor, and a symbol of courage, in the face of fear. But Armand was tired of being a symbol. He wanted peace. He wanted freedom. He wanted to hold his son again, and he knew now, the only way to end this was to finish what he started. Emily sat beside him on the rooftop, watching the stars. They won't stop, will they? She asked. Armand shook his head. Not until I expose them fully, not until their names are out in the light. Then let's do it, Emily said. Armand turned to her. Even if it's dangerous. Emily looked him in the eyes. You didn't run from fear, why should I? Armand smiled. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. He felt ready, not to hide, but to rise. The next morning, Armand sat at his desk, a quiet fire in his eyes. He wasn't afraid anymore, not of threats, not of shadows, not of the past. He had made his choice. He would no longer hide. He would speak, and he would say the one thing they feared the most, their names. Emily entered the room, holding a file in her hand. It's all here, she said. Everything we could find. Old news clippings, property documents, bank records, even secret meetings they tried to hide. Armand opened the file. His hands didn't shake this time. Page by page, he saw the faces of the men who had destroyed his life. Justice Rahim Siddiqui, the Chief Justice who accepted bribes. Senator Malik Raza, the powerful politician who controlled the courts. From behind the curtain, businessman Bilio Faruqi, who made millions through illegal contracts, approved by fake judgments, and others. Judges, ministers, lawyers, all of them, once untouchable, all of them, connected. Armand closed the file slowly. I used to sit in the courtroom with some of these men, he whispered. I thought we were serving justice together. He looked at Emily. But they were serving power. Sarah, the lawyer, arrived. That afternoon. She brought a USB drive. This has everything, she said. Your full statement, the names, the documents, the threats. Once we send this to the international court, it becomes public. Do it, Armand said. But there's more, Sarah added. A journalist in London wants to interview you. A live broadcast. If you say their names on camera, the world will hear it. They won't be able to cover it up. Armand thought for a moment. A live broadcast meant danger. It also meant freedom. He nodded. Set it up. That evening Armand sat in his apartment. Alone, outside, police cars patrolled the street. Cameras were set near the building entrance. Security had increased, but danger didn't always come from the front door. Sometimes it came from inside. As Armand sipped tea, he heard a soft buzz on his phone. It was a message from an unknown number. Speak, and your son dies. Armand stared at the screen, then calmly deleted the message. His hands didn't shake. His heart didn't race, because something had changed. Inside him, he was no longer afraid of losing his son. He was afraid of not fighting for him. The next day, the interview began. It was streamed live across multiple countries. People watched from Homes, schools, offices, even from inside courtrooms. The host, a serious woman in a gray suit, looked into the camera. Today, we speak to Justice Arman Ali Khan, a man who lost everything after choosing the truth, and is now ready to name the ones who tried to silence him. She turned to Arman. Are you ready? Arman looked at the camera and began. He spoke about the fake judgments, about the hidden deals, about the threats, the exile, the pain, and then he said the names. One by one. Clear.com, Brave. The World Listened. Twitter exploded. News channels replayed the clip every hour. Hashtag Justice for Arman began trending globally. In Pakistan, chaos followed. People protested outside courts. Lawyers demanded answers. Some officials resigned, others vanished, and in a secret house far away, a man slammed his fist on the table. They've made him a hero, he growled. He should have stayed a janitor. Another man asked, what now? The first man lit a cigarette. Now we end him. 3 nights later, Arman and Emily were walking home from the office. They laughed quietly about something Ayan had said on the phone. He told me, Abu, when you come, I'll show you how to ride an east. Arman chuckled. Emily smiled. Kids grow fast. Suddenly a loud bang. Gunshot. Emily screamed. Arman pulled her down behind a parked car. Another shot rang out, then another. People scattered. A motorbike sped past the street. 2 men in black, helmets covering their faces, then silence. Arman checked Emily. She was shaking, but safe. They were both alive. Barely. Back at his apartment, Arman sat in silence. Blood had not been spilled this time, but the message was clear. They were not finished. He picked up the phone and called Sarah. They've crossed the line, he said. I know, she replied, but that means they're desperate. They are, Arman said, and desperate men make mistakes. The next morning, Arman received a surprise visitor. An old man with a white beard and kind eyes. I watched your interview, the man said. I used to work in the legal office, where your trial was faked. I have something you need. He handed Arman a small folder. Inside was the original court transcript. The real one, not the one that had been shown to the media. It proved that Arman had tried to stop the corruption, and it proved that the others had lied. Why now? Arman asked. The old man smiled sadly. I was afraid for many years, he said, but your courage gave me mine. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Arman sat on the rooftop of his apartment building, staring at the dark sky. The stars blinked above, but his mind was full of storm. He had said their names. He had shown the world their crimes, and now they were coming for him. He didn't know when, he didn't know how, but he knew they wouldn't give up. Icily, because evil never surrenders without a final strike. Emily and Lisa sat inside, checking their phones. Sarah, the lawyer, was on a video call from London. The International Court has received all your documents, Sarah said. Interpol has started looking into 2 of the main suspects. But Arman, you must stay safe. This is the most dangerous time. I understand, Arman said calmly. Lisa looked at him. You're too calm. That's scary. He smiled weakly. Fear is still there, Beta, but now, I control it. It doesn't control me. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then, everything went dark. The power was gone. The street outside was silent. No cars, no sounds. Just darkness. Emily rushed to the window. That's not normal, she whispered. Lisa's hands began to shake. Should we call the police? Arman's eyes narrowed. No need, they're already here. He picked up a small flashlight, walked to the door, and placed a metal chair against it. Then he turned to the girls. If anything happens, don't panic. Stay behind me, and remember, this is the final test. A loud crash came from the building's main gate, then voices. Rough, angry. They're inside, Lisa whispered. Emily grabbed her phone, calling the police now. But the network was gone. No signal. They were cut off outside the apartment door. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow, heavy. A knock. Not polite. Not soft. Just one loud bang. Arman stood still. Then the voice came. You were brave, Judge, but bravery ends tonight. Arman walked forward and shouted back. If you're here to kill me, do it like a man. Show your face. Silence. Then a laugh. Cold and cruel. The door burst open. 3 masked men stormed in, holding weapons. Their eyes burned with hate, but Arman didn't step back. He stood firm. Behind him, Lisa hid under the table. Emily clutched a sharp object she had grabbed from the kitchen. You think the world will save you? One of the men shouted. No, Arman said calmly. I think truth will destroy you. The man raised a stick to hit him, but before he could strike the whack, a chair came flying through the air. Emily had thrown it. The man stumbled. Lisa screamed. Run. The lights flickered back on. Police sirens blared outside. Finally, help had arrived. The attackers tried to escape, but this time they weren't fast enough. Within minutes, police officers stormed the building. 2 men were caught. The third jumped off the balcony and broke his leg. All 3 were arrested. Inside their pockets were notes, names, plans. They had been sent by one of the very judges Arman had exposed. It was no longer just a case of corruption. It was attempted murder. And now, the world would see the final truth. The news exploded. Former judge survives attack after speaking out. Proof of judicial mafia now clear. International court summons high officials in corruption case. People flooded the streets of Islamabad, Karachi, and Lahore with candles in hand, chanting, "Justice for Arman. Clean the courts. Truth is power." In courtrooms, some judges stepped down. In offices, secret files were destroyed, but it was too late. The truth was out, and it was spreading fast. Sarah called from London. "They're finished," she said. "The documents, the video proof, and now the attack. It's enough. They'll never escape this now." Arman nodded. His eyes looked tired, but peaceful. "It's over," Emily whispered. Lisa hugged him. "You did it. You finally did it." But Arman looked out the window and whispered, "No, we did it." The next morning, Arman packed his suitcase. His flight to Dubai was booked. After all these years, he was finally going home. To his wife. To his son. To the life he had once lost. As he closed the suitcase, Lisa entered the room. "You're leaving today?" "Yes. Promise me you'll rest. Be happy. You've done enough." Arman smiled. "I won't stop helping others, but I will rest." Then he looked at her gently. "And you, Lisa, keep helping people. Your heart is brave." She nodded, eyes full of tears. Emily walked him to the airport. As they stood near the gate, she said, "The world doesn't deserve people like you, but it needs people like you." Arman smiled. "And the world needs people like you who admit their mistakes and stand for change." They hugged. Then he turned and walked away, free, at peace, and no longer alone. As the plane rose above the clouds, Arman looked out the window. Below was the city where he had been broken and rebuilt, where he was once a janitor, and then a warrior for truth. He reached into his bag and pulled out a letter from a YAAN. It simply said, "I'm proud of you, Abu." Tears filled his eyes, not from pain, but from healing. For the first time in years, he was going home not as a victim, but as a victor. The plane touched down gently in Dubai. The city lights sparkled outside like stars waiting to welcome him. Arman looked out of the window and took a deep breath. He had waited 7 long years for this moment. Now, he was finally home. Not home in a house, but home in heart. At the airport gates, a woman stood silently, holding the hand of a little boy. The woman's eyes were tired, but full of hope. The boy kept bouncing on his feet, too excited to stand still. Suddenly, the doors opened. Passengers walked out, one by one. And then he appeared. Arman. Older, thinner, but standing tall. When Ayan saw him, he froze. For 1 second he wasn't sure. Then Arman smiled, and Ayan ran. "Abu." The little boy threw himself into his father's arms. Arman held him tight, tears running down his face. "Look at you," he whispered, voice breaking. "You've grown so much." Ayan just held on tighter, as if letting go might make him disappear. Again, Arman looked up at his wife. She had tears too, but she was smiling. No words were needed, because sometimes hearts speak louder than mouths. That night, they sat together at home, the same home where Arman used to play with Ayan before bedtime. The same home that once echoed with laughter and then went quiet for years. Now, it was full of light again. Ayan showed Arman all his drawings, his school books, his toys. "This one's my favorite," Ayan said, showing a small wooden airplane. "I used to fly it and pretend you were coming back." Arman kissed his head. "I was flying home every day in my heart," he said softly. "I just had to fix the road first." In the days that followed, the news kept spreading. 3 corrupt officials were arrested. 1 judge resigned publicly, and 2 others went into hiding. The case Arman had started was now under international investigation. Journalists called him a hero. People on social media called him the voice of justice. But Arman didn't care about fame. He cared about truth and about never letting another man suffer in silence the way he once did. One morning, Ayan sat beside his father on the balcony. "Abu," he said, "you were a janitor." Arman nodded. "Yes, I cleaned floors in a building far away." "Were you sad?" "Yes, but not because of the work. I was sad because people treated me like I was less." Ayan thought for a second, then said, "But you were never less. They just didn't see you properly." Arman looked at his son, surprised, a small child, saying such big words. He smiled and said, "Maybe the world needs to learn from you." Ayan giggled. "I can teach them if you buy me ice cream." Arman laughed for the first time in weeks. "Deal?" Emily called one afternoon. She was back in Pakistan, helping with the court reforms. "The protests are still going," she said. "You gave people courage. I wish you could see it." "I don't need to see it," Arman replied. "I can feel it." Then Lisa spoke on the call too. "I've started working with a group that defends whistleblowers," she said. "People like you. I'm proud of you," Arman said. Lisa smiled, holding back tears. "You changed my life," she whispered. Arman nodded. "No, you changed your own life. I just opened the door." Weeks passed. One evening, Arman was invited to speak at a school where future lawyers were studying. He stood in front of a young crowd. No fancy suit. No grand title. Just truth. He held the microphone and began, "My name is Arman Ali Khan. Once, I was a judge. Then, I became a janitor. But now, I am just a man who refused to stay silent. The hall went quiet. Every word hit deep. He continued, justice is not a robe you wear. It is not a seat in a courtroom. Justice is a choice, and you must make it every day. When he finished, the students gave him a standing ovation, not for being famous, but for being real. Back at home, Armand sat alone one night, watching Ion sleep. His son's small hand rested on a pillow, his face peaceful. Armand whispered softly, they tried to take everything from me, my career, my name, my dignity, but they could never take my soul, or my love for you. He reached into a drawer and pulled out a journal. On the first page he wrote, if one voice can rise in silence, others will follow. This is not the end. This is the beginning. He closed the journal, leaned back, and looked up at the ceiling. Storm was over. The battle was won. And the boy who once waited by the window every night, now had his father home forever.